Dark skies roll over the endless plains. The storm is coming, not the kind that shakes trees and floods rivers, but the kind that tears lives apart. Two men stand on opposite ends of history, bound by blood, loyalty, and the weight of their people. In the dust of Montana, where land and power decide the fate of families, a new order is about to be written. Justice no longer wears a badge. It rides with the fearless, and it waits for the desperate. And when the storm finally breaks, the land will remember who stood, who fell, and who carried the burden of survival. Case Dutton has always been a man caught between two worlds. Born into the power and legacy of the Dutton Ranch, yet scarred by a past of violence and loss, he moves like a shadow through the land he calls home. Every step he takes feels heavier than the last, as if the soil itself pulls him back to the weight of his family's name. He is a soldier, a cowboy, and a father, yet none of those titles bring him peace. His eyes carry the storms he's seen. His silence speaks louder than the roar of guns. To the world, Case is a man of strength. But inside he battles a war only he can see. For Case, loyalty is not a choice. It is a curse. His blood ties him to a legacy that demands everything, but gives nothing back. The Dutton name is both shield and chain, offering protection while crushing the soul beneath it. He knows that every decision he makes is not just for himself, but for generations that came before and those that will come after. When he mounts his horse and rides across the open land, it is not freedom he feels, it is the weight of duty pressing down on his shoulders. And yet, even under that weight, he does not break. Case rides because if he doesn't, the land itself might crumble. But the land is restless. Enemies grow bolder. The line between law and vengeance grows thinner. Case has learned that survival does not always mean justice. Sometimes it means crossing lines that cannot be uncrossed. Sometimes it means becoming the very thing you swore to fight against. In the silence of the Montana night, when the wind carries the cries of the past, Case feels the pull of destiny. A destiny that will demand a sacrifice greater than any battle he has fought before dawn. As the storm gathers, Case must decide what kind of man he will be. A son who bends under the shadow of his family, or a warrior who writes his own story in the dust and blood of the frontier. His path is one of fire and steel, where each choice will either save his people or bury them deeper into the earth they fight for. And as the land darkens, the question remains, will Case Dutton stand as a protector, or will he fall as another casualty of a war that never ends? Thomas Rainwater stands not just as a man, but as a symbol of everything that was taken, and everything that still survives. His presence is steady, his voice unshaken, and his gaze holds the weight of centuries. He carries with him the memory of his people, their land, their struggles, and their spirit that refuses to be broken. To those who do not understand him, Rainwater is a rival, a challenger, a man who will not bow to power dressed in wealth or influence. But to his people, he is the wall that stands between them and the tide of history that has tried to wash them away. Rainwater's strength is not only in his authority, but in his vision. He does not see the land as property, a prize to be carved and sold. He sees it as blood and memory, as something that lives and breathes. Each river holds a story, each mountain a spirit, each plain a reminder of battles fought and ancestors lost. Where others see profit, he sees legacy. Where others see a future written in contracts, he sees one written in sacrifice. And for that vision, he is willing to face enemies that do not rest, that come dressed in law, in greed, in guns, and in silence. Yet Rainwater is not a man free from struggle. His path is filled with doubt, with decisions that cut deep into his own heart. He knows that leadership demands not only wisdom, but sacrifice. To keep his people strong, he must sometimes take the role of the villain, the hard hand that others will fear. His enemies call him ruthless, but he knows that mercy is a language his opponents never learn to speak. Every step he takes forward carries the risk of betrayal. Every alliance he considers is a knife waiting to be turned against him. And still, he moves forward because turning back is not an option. The storm that builds over Montana does not. Pass Rainwater by, he feels its pull as deeply as Case does, though for reasons rooted in different soil. Where Case battles the ghost of family and duty, Rainwater battles the shadow of history itself. He knows that the coming conflict is more than a fight for land. It is a fight for survival, for dignity, for a future where his people will not be forgotten. And in that fight, there can be no retreat, no surrender, and no forgiveness for those who would take what is sacred. Rainwater's heart beats with both hope and fire. Hope that his people can rise above centuries of loss, and fire to burn down anything that dares to stand in the way. He is not just a leader, he is a reckoning, a man whose calm voice carries the promise of thunder, and whose silence speaks of storms yet to break. When the dust settles and the land chooses who remains, Thomas Rainwater will be remembered as the man who did not bend, the man who stood when standing seemed impossible. His battle is not only for his people, it is for the soul of the land itself. The first signs are small, but they cut deep. Tracks in the dirt that do not belong, a truck parked where no one should be. A rumor whispered in a bar and carried by. The wind across the valley, Case hears it in the tired talk of old cowboys, in the pause before a man answers, in the way hands rest a little closer to belts. Rainwater reads it in the eyes of elders, in the silence around the council fire, in the maps spread on a table that show land lines creeping like cracks in ice. The ground is shifting. Something cold moves beneath the surface, slow, steady, and sure. It does not wear a face, but it leaves a mark. It wants land. It wants control. And it will smile while it takes both. Case rides the fence lines and feels the press of time on his back. He knows what a new batch can do when it comes with a hidden order. He has seen peace turn to dust under boots that call it protection. He does not trust men who promise safety from behind clean desks. He trusts the land, the dust, the sweat, the look in a horse's eye when trouble is near. He starts fixing gates that were never broken, checking water where no one drinks, counting cattle as if numbers could stop a storm. He does these simple things because simple things are how you live long enough to fight another day. But even simple things feel heavy now. The air is thick. The sky hangs low. Every night, he lies awake and listens for a truck door that should not close. Rainwater moves like a chess player, one step ahead to plans deep. He knows this fight is older than all of them. He knows how power wears new clothes and calls itself progress. He meets with allies who do not always agree with him, shakes hands that feel like traps, and reads contracts that smile with friendly words hiding sharp teeth. He speaks to his people with calm strength, telling them that their story is not over, that their land still has a voice. That silence is not peace. He builds bridges where he can, and where he cannot, he digs in. He learns the names of the men who think they own the future. He learns their habits, their weaknesses, their pride. And he waits for the first move he knows they will make. Some nights, their paths cross without words. Case at the edge of a gravel road, Rainwater on a rise above a river. They do not speak, but each knows the other feels the same wind. They are not friends, not really, but they are not enemies either. They are two men with two worlds behind them, staring at the same fire. One burns to protect a family name. One burns to protect a people's soul. Both fires are real. Both fires are hot. And in the heat, iron bends. Then the pressure starts to show itself in daylight. A government car that sits too long near a ranch. Road, a drone that hums over a pasture and vanishes when a hand reaches for a rifle. A letter that looks official but has no return address. A company with a fresh logo buying land that no one knew was for sale. A marshal asking polite questions that cut like small knives. None of it is loud, but all of it is clear. The game is on, and the first move is not a punch. It is a smile that hides a plan. Case feels the pull from home and the call from duty collide. He sees the fear in the eyes of those he loves, the kind of fear that doesn't shout but lingers like smoke in a room. He thinks about his son, about the kind of future a boy deserves, about the kind of man a father must be. He has learned that you can be right and still lose, that you can fight fair and still fall. He tightens the saddle, checks the rifle, and tells himself that what comes next he will meet head-on. He does not chase fights, but he does not run from them either. Rainwater gathers his counsel and speaks softly. He says the land is not just dirt, it is memory. He says they have outlived kings and broken promises, and they will outlive this. 2. He reminds them that unity is not easy, that it is made of hard choices and quiet strength. He does not ask them to love the men who stand across from them. He asks them to outlast them. Papers will be signed. Deals will be offered. Roads will be drawn. He tells them what to say, what to refuse, and where to stand. He does not shout. He does not need to. His certainty fills the room like steady drumbeat. The Marshals feel the shift as well. They are told to be patient, to gather facts, to follow the letter. But the letters they are given are written by hands with other goals. Their orders ask them to keep order while someone else redraws the map. Some of them believe in the badge with their whole hearts. Some believe in a quiet race and a clean exit. None of them are ready for what the land does to plans. The land is stubborn. It grows men like Case and leaders like Rainwater. Who can stand all day in the sun and not move an inch? By now, the town can feel it too. The bar quiets when certain names are spoken. The hardware store sells more chain and locks than usual. People keep gas tanks full and dogs close. A few men leave. For a while, a few men return. A church bell rings a little longer on Sunday, like the sound is holding on to something it cannot keep. The tension is a wire pulled tight between two poles, singing in the wind. Everyone hears it. No one says it out loud. In this silence, small acts mean everything. A gate left open on purpose. A warning passed from one porch to another. A camera moved 6 inches to catch a license plate. A promise to call if a truck turns down the wrong road. These are not scenes fit for headlines, but they are the shape of survival. This is how people on the edge strap down their roofs before the storm hits. This is how families make themselves into forts. Case rides at dusk and tells himself the truth. There is no clean way through what is coming. There is only the right way and the way you regret forever. He thinks of old battles and the price they charged. He thinks of the young and the old and the space between them where choices live. He does not pray for an easy path. He prays for a steady hand. Rainwater stands by the river and listens. The water carries stories older than any law. It tells him that the land has seen worse and has healed. It tells him that healing does not come free. He sees the faces of those who trusted him, and he feels the weight of that trust settle on his shoulders once more. He squares himself, breathes in, and lets the river's patience be his own. When the night finally falls, it brings the first hard sign. A light on the wrong hill, footprints where no one should walk. A message that says nothing and means everything. The wire that has been singing in the wind snaps, and the sound it makes is like a door slamming shut. The storm that has been gathering is no longer a rumor. It is here. And the land, which holds all their names, waits to see who will step forward. First, the land does not wait. It never has. When the first crack of thunder splits the horizon, it feels less like weather and more like a verdict. Case is the first to move, not by choice but by instinct. He hears the cries of cattle scattered in the night, the sharp snap of barbed wire cut clean, the echo of boots that do not belong. His horse shifts under him uneasy, and the air carries a scent of smoke that does not come from a campfire. The storm has found him. He knows it will not pass. He knows that to stay still is to lose, and so he rides, heart beating in rhythm. with hooves each stride pulling him deeper into the war he swore he would never fight again. On the other side of the valley, Rainwater feels the same shift. The council fire burns lower than it should, its smoke twisting in a wind that has no direction. Men around him speak quickly, their words sharp, their fear hidden under hard tones. He listens, but his thoughts are already ahead. He has seen this pattern before, how enemies do not strike with open hands, but with shadows they come with. Laws signed in quiet rooms, with men who carry badges but wear no honor, with promises of peace that mean surrender. He knows that this is no longer talk. This is the moment where survival demands action. The fire reflects in his eyes, and he knows that tonight the fight will not be delayed. The Marshals arrive with the weight of the law, their trucks shining in the dark like steel teeth. They speak of justice, but their justice is written by men far from these fields, men who will never feel the dirt between their fingers. To them, Case is a threat because he cannot be bent, Rainwater danger because he cannot be bought. Their orders are clear: restore order, seize control, make the land obey. But the land does not obey, it resists, it remembers, and in that memory, Case and Rainwater find themselves standing shoulder to shoulder, not as friends, not as allies, but as men who cannot afford to fall apart. The clash is not loud at first. It begins with eyes meeting in silence, with hands tightening around rifles, with voices that carry warnings more than words. But silence cannot hold forever. When the first shot cracks the night, it is like lightning striking dry grass sudden. Unstoppable and fierce, horses scream, men scatter, and the valley becomes a battlefield painted by fire and shadow. Case moves with the instinct of a soldier, every breath a calculation, every step a memory of wars long past. Rainwater stands firm, his people at his back, their strength not in guns alone, but in the unbroken line of history that fuels them. This is no clean fight. It is grit and dust, fear and fury. The Marshals press forward with the arrogance of authority, but they do not understand the land they tread. For every step they take, Case and Rainwater answer with two. For every command shouted, the land replies with silence that feels heavier than sound. The night is broken by flashes of fire, of steel, of men forced to choose in an instant who they are and what they stand for. By the time the smoke begins to lift, nothing feels certain. Case knows the cost has only begun. Rainwater sees the horizon and knows it will not bring peace. The storm has broken, but another waits behind it. And as dawn creeps across the valley, lighting blood on soil, hoofprints in mud, and faces carved, with resolve, one truth rises above the rest: justice has no single face here. It wears the mask of survival, and survival demands a price neither man has yet paid in full.